IVM.
Hey, if you like this show, then you should definitely check out another show on the IVM podcast network called Paisa Vaisa. It's a show hosted by Anupam Gupta that will clear all your personal finance doubts, from mutual funds to loans to SIPs. New episodes are out every Monday.
Hello and welcome to IVM Likes. On today's episode, I'll be your host Abhineet, and with me in the studio we have two other voices. It's Abbas.
Yes, hi.
And Madhuri.
Hi.
And on today's episode, we'll be talking about board games versus video games in the second half, and in the first half, we'll be talking or giving you guys recommendations on what we like and what we don't like. So tune in to IVM Likes. Okay, so who's going first? Madhuri?
Yeah, okay, I'll start. So I have a band to recommend. Its name is Tenari Ven. It's this group of Tuareg musicians who come from Sahara Desert of northern Mali. And this band is formed around the time 1980s, when
80s.
blues has just come in. And they are known as people of desert. The name itself means people from the deserts. So what they're talking about is their exodus, how they had to move away from the desert because of various regimes and how their identity was abolished. So to keep up that identity, to talk about that identity, they start singing. And they have a very different flavor to their singing because they come from desert region. So the instruments are also very different.
Okay.
At the same time, rock and roll is also coming up. So they start listening to rock and roll and they adapt to guitar version of it. And they start using their acoustic mix and all those elements become a part of it. But today, if you look at their albums, they're too varied with graphic images. It's there's this one song, I would talk about that song. It's called Tenari Takal. In English, the translation is what has become of Tener, which is their land. So you have this camel who has radio, who has headphones on. And you see people sitting on camel's back and there is a car which moves by quickly besides camel. So it's talking about how modern time has come in and how it has affected their culture, their identity. But it's mostly group of rebels. So I really love their songs.
When did they start? 1980s?
It's 1980s, but all the albums have come out in 2000s. Because initially they were just singing, they weren't recording. They would perform live. And it's called the Group of Rebels.
Group of Rebels.
Yeah, so they were also part of a lot of political movements.
Interesting.
Yeah. They've actually performed in Mumbai. They did a show at Opera House last year.
Have you been there?
No, I couldn't go, but I really wanted to because I've been listening to their music as well and they're pretty good.
Yeah, like they sing in Tamshek language, but sometimes you have the subtitles.
Tamshek language?
Yeah,
what
African.
is
It's African dialect. So even if you don't know the language, sometimes there are subtitles. If subtitles aren't there, you can still listen to their music. It's
like, do they use like all those traditional instruments?
Yeah, it's a fusion of authentic Middle Eastern African music and it's fused with some Western elements. So it's a pretty eclectic mix of stuff that they play.
And how did you come across?
I have a friend who's a performing artist. So she introduced me to this band and I started listening to them. It just suits me. It's great.
Okay, interesting. So that was Madhuri for you guys. So what do we have next, Abbas?
Alright, so I'm recommending a documentary today. It's called Science Fair. It came out last year. It's a very feel-good documentary. It essentially follows 5 set of students who are science students. They're in school. They're in high school. And so every year America has this massive science fair called the ISEF, alright, where high schoolers put out their projects and really big scientists like who are working at NASA or who have won Nobel Prizes, they come and they judge those science projects, and whoever wins, whoever they think has the brightest idea, they actually give them a grant and they become researchers. They fund their research. And eventually they get to, actually do that thing in real life, It's a very, very competitive scenario because so how it works is that each school in America has science fair in their school, of which about 2 or 3 students are selected who then go to ISEF. And then within that larger ISEF contingent, about 4 people are chosen who actually get to do research. What I like about the documentary is that it actually follows this really young, bright students about how they came up with their idea. So there is a student who is working on aeronautical engineering. He has a flight, sort of a wing, which he thinks that if incorporated in aeroplanes, it'll help aeroplanes grow faster. There's a student who is working on brain mapping. There's another student who is actually working, a group of students who are working on a new way of stethoscope, which will actually help you hear heartbeats so well that you can actually detect heart diseases much in advance than you do now. So, and these kids are like 15, 16-year-old kids, right? And they're so bright, and they're so, their passion for science is so much. And then what they do is that the team also, so this happens, you can qualify from across the world, alright? So there's also 2 students in Brazil who are working on a cure for Zika virus, okay? Now these kids, they don't come from a very privileged background, okay? They are in Brazil, which is not a very wealthy country. So you compare those kids to the kids who are being brought up in America, alright? And obviously because this is science, there are a lot of Indian kids who are studying in America, right? So it's also sad because I'm like, so many such kids would be in India, but they'll never get an opportunity because we don't have the resources to send these kids to ISF. There's a girl called Anjali who is in the film. There's a boy called Harsha who's in the film. Obviously, these are kids who have been born in America, but now they're working on these things. And even when they show like a wide shot of the science fair, you can spot so many Indian and brown kids. There's a girl from Bangladesh who wears a hijab, who's working on the brain mapping thing, right? So she talks about how, so her school is primarily known for sports, so they don't give science any kind of importance, and yet she keeps on persisting and making this. So it follows them right from preparing for their school fairs to right up till the final day of ISF when the grand prize is given out. And throughout this whole thing, they, along with the students, they also keep interviewing previous students who have won these prizes. They also follow this one particular teacher who wants her school to be the one to win the most prizes. So she's like really hard on her students. And it's also, ultimately, it's a story about how America is made by its immigrants, because Indian kids, Chinese kids, Middle Eastern kids, Bangladeshi kids, you see so many kids and you see them interacting with the American kids to make their projects. So it's a very warm and feel-good kind of a film where you're like, no matter how bad things get, at least on the school level, kids are still working together. They have really bright ideas. They're working really hard to sort of, win. And obviously not everybody that the film follows wins a prize. So then you also get to see how they deal with rejection when they don't win something. So it's a very well-made film. It's made by National Geographic, so you can if you can actually, like, you can pay and watch it on their website. It's called Science Fair, and I highly recommend. I highly recommend that you.
It's just on their website.
It's just on their website for now. I don't know if in future it'll ever come out on Prime or Netflix, but yeah, for now it's on the National Geographic website. So please check it out. It's a very good documentary.
That reminds me of my school days. Like, we had that science fair, but we would just go to YouTube, look up for certain projects, imitate it and do it. So there was no original thought idea. There was no specific training given to us so that we could think in that direction.
My school fair, like, we just did those lava things.
That was the easiest. Soap se lava bana do, and that happened. In fact, there's a very thrilling moment in this film where the ISF has an internal committee where if they get even a sense of that this particular project is actually copied from somewhere else, they actually have an internal committee which comes and inspects them and asks them questions about how did you come to this, So there's one particular group which that happens to, and there's a very tense scene where the committee is coming and questioning them about these things, and even stuff like if you have an experiment that involves human testing, and you're disqualified immediately. And the thing is, if you're disqualified from ISEF, it's pretty much like your science career is over from that point. So you have to be very careful about being original in your
I'm already into this. I've recently started watching documentaries, and I like this one.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. It's a very good documentary. Yeah. What do you have to recommend?
Okay, this
Abhineet?
time I am recommending yet another indie band.
Okay.
They are called Dream Note.
Okay.
There is one more, Dream Note. They are a girl group. They are not from India. So this is
Not that.
Yeah, not that one. Definitely not that one. This is a 4-piece band which they have. They are like 4 guys with beard and like the typical.
Not girls.
Yeah, not girls. Yeah. So these people, they just have 2 original songs right now, but they are really good. I just came across them, like my friend told me about them. He make me listen to one of their songs and it really hit me hard.
Okay.
So then I googled them and I was very disappointed because they just have 2 originals.
Right.
And they just have covers. But even the covers are very good, but I was digging for original content. But it's one of the song is called Waqt Ki Baatein.
Okay.
It's very well written and the music is also very well composed. It's a very beautiful song. It talks about how you are into this situation in your life where you face rejection, where you face like people accept you, people reject you, how you deal with that. Like it's all waqt ki baatein, like aaj iska din hai, aaj kisi aur ka hoga. So all that stuff. And there's other song, it's called Tere Jaane Ke Baad. It's a very good song. It's pretty good. But I liked Waqt Ki Baatein pretty much.
Okay. What's the genre of music that they play?
They are, again, they goes with my style. It's very slow paced.
Abhineet style.
Yeah. No, they are not depressing. Actually, if you listen to or analyze the lyrics,
Right.
they are very uplifting, they boost you.
Okay.
But the tone or the flow of the music, how they compose it, it's very slow paced and very groovy. Kind of
maybe
thing.
we can change that understanding that something which is slow paced need
Yeah.
not necessarily be depressing.
Yeah.
For me, I'm actually looking for Hindi equivalents in songs when I'm in that zone.
Yeah.
I want to reconnect with words. And sometimes मुझे हिंदी में songs नहीं मिलते. So
You should definitely check
so
this
this
out.
is great. You recommending bands and people coming up with songs like that genre in Hindi.
Yeah,
Nice.
these guys just formed their band in 2014
Okay.
and then they
And
started.
they've already did 2 songs in 5 years.
They started with covers. They formed
Okay.
the band and they started doing covers and then they came up with originals. And
Okay.
now they're like, I wish they be the next big thing
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
market.
Dream Note, if you're listening to this, Abhineet is waiting for your songs. So
Yeah.
please write them.
Okay, so I'm recommending Dream Note. You can get their music from Spotify, Ghana, or Savan.
Cool.
Or, yes, YouTube.
Cool.
Okay, so that was me with my recommendation. So let's just quickly recap what we recommended. Madhuri, you recommended?
Tinari Ven, a Turek band. Just listen to their music.
Okay, Abbas?
I recommended the documentary Science Fair.
Okay, and I recommended a indie band called Dream Note.
So on that note, we'll take a break, and on the other side, we'll do a debate, a discussion of board games versus video games, and Alika will be joining us. So we'll see you on the other side of this break.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure that you do. We're IVM Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please do. With the upcoming election season just around the corner, in case you really wanted a deep dive into some of the issues that matter, you should check out some of the shows on our network. Shows like Ganatantra, The Seen and the Unseen, The Pragati Podcast, Pulya Bazi, and even How to Suggest look into some of the issues that really do matter. This week on Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by Trupti Khamkar. Trupti talks about how she got into acting from a young age, convincing her family, discovering her comedic talent, and her very own podcast, Golgappa. On Shunya One, Varun Deshpande from the Good Food Institute joins us to talk about the Good Food Institute and the work that they're doing. On Thalle Harate, our Kannada podcast, Pawan and Surya discuss the Indian judiciary and all that we need to know about its citizens. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam hosts an hour-long special with Anil Gilani, head of passive investments at DSP Mutual Fund, and Mukesh Agarwal, CEO of NSE Indices, India's largest index and index service provider. This week, look out for the 50th episode of the Habit Coach podcast. Host Ashton Doctor is joined by a special guest on this one. And with that, let's continue with your show.
Welcome back, guys. Today, in the second half, we have a guest of honor with us.
Yeah,
Alika.
it's me.
Okay, so we cannot
So
discuss.
all you need to be a guest of honor is not be on the first half. Cool.
I guess.
From next time, I'll also join only the second half then.
Okay, so we cannot have a discussion on board games and video games without Alika. So here we have Alika with us.
Hello, yes, I am happy to contribute to this discussion.
You have been on the episode after a very long time.
I know. This is mostly because I don't actually get time to consume media to recommend. Otherwise, I would totally be on all the episodes.
Okay, with that, let's start with the second half of the episode discussing on board games and video
games. Yeah, so first let's start like, hey guys, what do you like to play? What do you guys prefer? Any one genre of gaming?
Yeah.
See, to play board games, you need friends, which I don't have.
Wow.
Video games, you can play alone and have fun.
This is true.
And I feel like you have more control over video games than you have on board games.
Do you really?
I feel so. So that's my take.
So like, but yes.
Sorry to cut you off, but if you find the right group of people, board game night can be amazing too.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yes.
Super amazing.
Recommended that movie Game Night. I watched that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a board game, right?
It is.
Is it like...
But people get shot because of a board game in that
Is it like
scenario.
Jumanji?
Oh.
No, quite far from it.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet. But like Jumanji was awesome.
But
I always
Jumanji...
wanted to play Jumanji. Like,
Yeah, me too.
Like actually
Yeah.
play Jumanji
Yeah.
or just like play
no,
the
actually,
real life?
like go into that shit
World.
and all.
Yeah.
That sounds like a nightmare. See, gaming is for people who don't go out. I don't know if I would enjoy going into the Jumanji world and being stuck as some person in Neolithic times or, you know, running from 500 spiders. That doesn't sound like my cup of tea.
What do you think about Snake and Ladder becoming a game like Jumanji? Like
Oh, I don't
really,
like that.
really you have ladders and snakes and you have to play that game.
Wait, so do we get wooed by snakes?
Wooed by snakes?
Never mind, let's go.
Like a snake tries to woo you.
No,
Like,
no.
you look good today.
No.
Like, no, let me climb this ladder.
Yes, that's what I meant. That's definitely what I meant. We will cut this part out later. That would be okay. I think it's a lot of physical exercise climbing a ladder. I don't know if I'm into that.
That's true. But, I mean, just to on that point, so it's famously said that there has never been a good video game movie. Like every movie they try to make based on a video game kind of fails. But there have been some good board game movies. There's this film called Clue Hunt, which is based on a board game, which is a
Clue.
Yeah, and obviously Jumanji's premise is based on a board game.
In Zathura, I believe.
Even Zathura, yes, is a
It was a
decent
good
enough
movie.
film. So yeah, I think board games are a little more easy to adapt.
Yeah, because you know they don't follow a storyline.
That's true.
You just have mechanics, and you can use those mechanics in a fun way. But
That's
video
true.
games have some kind of storyline, which I feel like the filmmakers
Yeah.
are little like, oh, we have to follow this, otherwise the fans will kill you, which
Yeah.
they will.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm still holding out hope for a good video game movie. I know The Witcher is a thing.
I actually
going to happen.
kind of
Yeah.
liked Warcraft. I thought Warcraft was not bad.
Yeah, it was.
But then I've never played the game, so I don't know.
I've played.
Even I haven't.
Okay, so
No,
yeah,
we didn't.
I've played a little bit of Warcraft, not the World of Warcraft thing, which is where you go and play with everyone else. I think
Okay.
so. I'm right about this. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can shout at me later on Twitter. That's okay. I will listen to it. Probably.
Cape Fox Alex, guys.
Yes. So I think World of Warcraft is where you play with other people online. I have not done that. I'm not a fan of playing video games online with other people.
Yeah.
But I played like Warcraft, which is just like, you know, you do, you build the stuff and then the computer attacks you, which is fine. So it was very different.
Okay.
I
From
don't
the
know
movie?
if it seemed very similar, but then I only played like a few games. Because I
So
got
like
irritated.
what side of the divide are you on? Because I know you do both. You play video games as well
Yes.
as board games. I mean you organize board game events.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
I help in organizing. So
Right.
like, I think it's been a few years. So we had like a group called Tabletop India, which basically we used to buy a ton of board games, which you don't usually get in India. So we used to like get people to mule them back. We'd like, buy them in America and get, whenever any person would go there, would be like, so here are 20 tons of board games you're bringing back for us. And then we used to like hold events where people could come and play that. We still do it. We still do it at a smaller level because there are not that many people who are who have the time to organize these events, but the interest is still really good. And there are a lot of great board game cafes which are opening up in Mumbai now.
Cafes have this culture now where they give you board games. And what I like about, like, this is a formal event that you talked about, but informally, ever since I've grown up, I remember playing board games, not video games. So I grew up with people around me. So even now, if I want to spend time with someone, I would never choose screen or a game over someone. I would just go with them and play with them. It's been
board games are a really nice social activity. Like you can just.
But so are if Counter-Strike is known for a bunch of people, mostly dudes, getting together and shooting each other.
So here's my issue with these sort of MMORPGs, not only that, and first-person shooter ones. They are fun, and then you play with other people, and then, they find out who you are or any, one morsel of information about you, and you get a ton of abuse. What for? I am not sitting and wasting my time to play a game and then having to deal with other people. I want to play a game because I want to chill. I don't want to deal with other people's nonsense. Which is why I don't play I don't play anything online with others. Like, I play a lot of video games, but they are always just single player ones.
Do you think girls get a lot of shit while playing online games?
Duh. Yes.
Of course.
The moment anyone finds out like what gender you go by, it's like, please show me certain genitalia or send me pics, and I'm like, what is your problem?
Okay, this day I was playing PUBG. So I was playing PUBG and I was going solo. Like, I was the only. It was a random match, a squad match, and there was this girl in the group, and the other two guys are like, okay, ladki hai.
But like, what the heck is this? I want to understand. Like, we are roughly 50% of the population, so it's not like people haven't seen women before. So like, why are they so obsessed when a woman plays a game?
And they were like, you step behind us, you follow our lead. And I like, and she ended up winning the match, and we all three were dead.
That's hilarious.
But what if she had not won the match? How would you look at her? Like, I agree.
It just depends on how good you are at the game. That's all.
But whenever a girl enters a game, she's always treated like kacha limbu.
Yeah.
If I use that terminology from my childhood.
I don't agree to that.
Yeah, it's very difficult to have fun when you're having to sit and moderate your experience. Because, all the time I'm like, oh God, if they find out.
But then,
so gone.
Are you saying there's no casual sexism in board games?
There's less. There is.
Because I know there is sexism in Carom. Like, if someone plays Carom, they're like, oh, girls can't like aim well. Seriously? Yeah, girls can't like aim well, or like if you're they don't know how to like powder the board and shit like that.
Abbas, isn't that said for all the games? Like, why only board games? Even when we go to, I have heard that.
Oh my
even
God.
when I go to play cricket or football.
I've heard this like in an opposite way when I went to play Stepu.
What is Stepu?
It's a game in which you draw boxes on the floor.
Okay.
Like 8 boxes, and then you throw a, what do you call it? Gitti?
It was called something else.
And then you jump on this box.
Does that qualify as a board game?
Not a board game, but
it's a game.
Yeah, it's a game.
Okay.
It's an outdoor game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So when I used to go and play, and all the girls are like, "Hey, ladka, hey, tu kaise kare?" Like, okay.
That's so
reverse
weird.
sexism.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. But yeah, that's so weird. I feel like in board games or like even outdoor games, there is a little bit less because you have to do it face to face.
That's true. Yeah, in online, it's anonymous and you obviously more easy to.
So if like somebody says something to me like in a face to face interaction, I'll be like, say what again? And then they'll kind of like think over like, oh shit, maybe I should not have said that.
Right.
In board games, most of the time you are playing with your own friends.
Right.
So
Though I do play a lot with strangers
as well.
So like if you go to a cafe,
Board games are a good way to know the other person.
Yeah, you know exactly how bloodthirsty they are,
Yeah.
how far they will go to win, what kind of winner or loser they are. You know, it's very important information you can glean about a person. No, but it's really great because especially if you go to these cafes nowadays and they have a lot of interesting different types of board games. I want to just let everyone know there are board games for everyone. They don't have to be like super abstract board games. Like you have Scrabble, which is like a word board game. But you have board games with themes. If you like westerns, you have board games like that. You have board games which have sci-fi themes, fantasy themes, medieval themes, history themes. There are a lot. You can probably find something that you like.
So if tomorrow technology ceases to exist and there are no more video games in the world,
that I would cry. But okay.
Why? But because you still have all the board games in the world.
That's true, but I really like video games because you can do cooler things there sometimes.
I like how Alika is walking the line between but also.
I'm not in any camp. I am like, let's have everything.
Nice.
Yeah, I would like that view. What do you think of this Ludo game taking to digital space today? People are playing Ludo in their phones.
Yeah, it's really good. Actually, a lot of board games have been adapted for digital space because sometimes it's difficult to find people who are interested in playing those sort of games with you. Especially if they are games which people have not heard of. A lot of people are like just put off by the name or like, it sounds complicated. So you want to find people to play it and you still want a board game experience. So they have a lot of board games which have been optimized for mobile phones, which are really cool. Because then you can just connect with somebody maybe you've met online and they're like, yeah, I like playing board games too. So you can connect and play it that way. So it's really nice.
Also, you'll like never lose a dice or you'll never lose a piece.
Oh my god. I have to tell you guys, having board games is awesome, but then the amount of time you do stock taking and note making of all your components and making sure nobody is run off with some of them is a lot.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's really good. And it's a really nice, it's tactile, right? You're playing with tokens and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a thing which you kind of remember a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like when you play it, I'm not saying that you don't remember a really good scene in a video game or whatever, but you kind of have a little bit of a stronger memory playing a board game.
Yes.
It makes
Always.
a good memory.
Do you guys think there's always this one guy in a group who, when losing, flips the board and runs away?
Oh my god.
I hate that person.
If I have
Are you that person, Abhineet?
Yeah, I hate myself.
I knew it.
I have luckily not yet encountered that. I would be so upset if they did that because these things take time to set up.
I hate losing, but I
the
always
video game
lose.
version of that is when your sibling just comes and presses the reset button when you're like on the 900th level and they're like boom,
Rage quit.
yes.
Oh my gosh.
I remember when I had those video games where you plugged the cassettes.
Oh, like
The retro thing.
The Sega,
Yeah.
Atari and things.
Atari,
Yeah. So I remember
Wait, you had an Atari?
not Atari, like it's a rip-off kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did
Chinese
not have
kind
this.
of thing.
But we all had the rip-off versions of it, not the original Ataris.
Yeah, I'm older than most of you. I don't think I had any of these. I think my first
What was your
console
first? Yeah.
was either PlayStation or a
Really?
Game Boy.
Oh, privileged.
Wow.
Yeah, of course.
Just because I didn't have these before.
I had an Atari rip-off, then I saved money to buy a Sega, and then I got my PlayStation.
Oh.
And after that,
I think I either had a
Went out of
PlayStation
game.
or a Game Boy first. I don't know which.
In my hometown, we actually had a place which offered PlayStation. You just pay for hours and then you go and play inside.
Oh wow. So it's like a cyber cafe
yeah,
but for
it's a
PlayStation.
gaming parlor, yeah.
Yeah, gaming. We have this in Pune. A new gaming parlor came out. Like it's very
Are gaming
good.
parlors still a thing?
Not now. I have not seen them around now.
Okay.
Back
I
then.
saw Cyber Cafe recently and I was so intrigued, but it looks so shady. It looks so shady. I was like, this is not a place where any cyber or caffeine happens.
But this gaming parlor which I was talking about, it's very good. Like
Okay.
they have these very comfortable recliners. They have these big TVs. Good, like they have PlayStation Pros.
Okay.
Wow.
And you can play like almost anything on that. You just have to pay $35 for an hour.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
yo.
Yeah.
They have this all blue and red lighting going on, and it's pretty dope. I liked it.
Okay.
You know what a good combination of board game and video game is? Arcade games.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Have you guys been to arcades and played Street Fighter?
Yeah, Street Fighter and what's the other one? Tekken. Tekken and Street
There was
Fighter were
Mortal
like
Kombat.
a big thing. Yeah,
Yes.
Mortal Kombat.
What
yeah.
are arcade games like? I don't know.
So they have these cabinets. They're like these big.
Have you seen the film Wreck-It Ralph?
No.
No.
Have you seen Stranger Things?
Yes.
In Stranger Things, the booth that they play video games on.
Oh, okay.
That's an
Yeah, it's like a
okay.
cabinet and it's got a screen
yes.
in front, and
Ah,
then you have
then
like a bunch of
yes.
buttons.
You always have a joystick.
Yeah.
Those-
Those are fun.
Yes.
Because those
I
are like
enjoy
video
that.
games, but you
I-
also play it with friends because
I
usually there are two
loved playing
players.
Tekken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tekken is good.
Who was your favorite character?
I don't remember.
I was a boss
My-
at Tekken. Like, I could beat people so bad.
Oh, I challenge you. I loved
Yes.
Eddie.
I liked King and
King?
Armor King. I was a big
Oh.
fan.
I could probably beat anyone with Eddie.
Really?
Yeah.
Should we get a PlayStation in office and try this out, guys?
फिर हो गया काम.
Yeah. We'll all be kicked
Let
out.
us know if you'd be interested if we would have weekly, I don't know, video game matches and we can have a scoreboard.
Yeah, we can even do a podcast around that.
Yes, I'm down. Let us know if you are all interested in this.
I would also like us to play a board game here, and as we play it, we give the commentary, like what is happening and how are we doing it.
I can
There
do
is a
this.
pilot somewhere buried in hard drives of a D&D session
Yes.
that we recorded, but nothing came out of it.
Can I just
okay.
go in real quick and plug role-playing games, board games, but role-playing games. I know you guys have role-playing games on as video games. Like you have a lot of great fantasy ones, like in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic or Dragon Age or Skyrim or whatever. They're great. So if you want that sort of experience, but without actually the graphics, because all the best graphics come from your imagination, I would suggest playing role-playing video games, tabletop role-playing games, TTRPGs. There are a lot of them. The most famous one is obviously Dungeons and Dragons. If you want to know where you can play Dungeons and Dragons, please contact me. I will set you up.
Yes.
My God.
And if you, there are a bunch. You don't have to just play Dungeons and Dragons. There's Call of Cthulhu if you want a more horror Lovecraftian thing. There are Starfinder if you like sci-fi sort of stuff. There's a lot. There's every genre you can think of. Pick a genre, guys. I will hook you up with which sort of TTRPG you should play. They're great. They're super fun way to have fun with friends because you have to rely on them a lot. And by the end of it, you become really good friends with the people you play with. It's a very great team building exercise. So I would highly recommend you guys do that if you feel like that's your jam.
I would also like to just add to this whole team building idea. So when we were playing these board games together, we also realized how all of us have choices. So we would make sure that we play something that everyone agrees to and can come together to play it.
The real character comes out when you are going in
Playing
intense.
it, but also making sure that everyone else enjoys it. So,
Right.
so I have friends who are playing football on the screen, and I was not so comfortable with it. I said, how can you play football on the screen? And I just opted out, and I grew distant from that friendship. But when we were playing board games and all, we would make sure everybody...
Not an ad for FIFA, guys.
FIFA is not going to sponsor.
so-
I know.
Yeah, so it was also taking care that the other person enjoys it too. It was amazing.
Agree. So you
Can
guys
we plug a favorite board game and a favorite video game?
Sure,
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah, we
Go
can
for
do
it.
that.
You can start up.
Abhineet, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, cool. While Abhineet thinks of it, I'll go. Favorite board game? Scrabble.
Okay, it's really good.
Favorite video game? I haven't played one in years.
That's okay. Retro's fun.
WWF SmackDown 2 on the PlayStation 1.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I feel like I have played this. Or I have some memory of this.
Yeah. So those would be my choices.
Okay.
For me, favorite board game would be Uno.
Yeah. It's
And-
a popular thing, especially in restaurants
Does
nowadays.
does it count as a board game? Doesn't have a board.
I mean, it's a card
It's
game.
a card game.
It's fine.
It's disqualified.
still-
Pick again.
No, it's fine.
It's not a. There's no board
Okay,
involved.
there was one game called Picnic. where
I remember
so I
that.
really enjoyed playing that
It's
because we weren't going on so many picnics, so I enjoyed when we were doing so on a board. Video game, I remember playing one in school, like computer pe khelte the, and it had Dave.
Dave.
I really loved that.
Dave was
Dave
awesome.
was
I
great.
used to burn in the
Dave
fire
is a-
all the time.
Me too. I never
Classic.
made it through that stage.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say my favorite board game will be, obviously Ludo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And my
love that.
favorite video game will be Contra.
Oh, nice.
Old school.
Yeah.
Thought you would pick something more recent.
Recent, I'll say PUBG.
The Contra is better.
Yeah,
Stick with
that's
Contra.
why I
Yeah.
went with Contra.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
so Contra. What about you,
I
Alika?
have like a bunch of favorite board games, but I'll pick one which nobody's obviously heard of. One of my favorites is Betrayal at House on the Hill. It's a really cool horror board
This
game.
is a board game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a cool
It sounds
horror
like
board
a
game.
novel.
Okay.
So like you have to explore this haunted house, and then in the middle you find out one of the players is a traitor and he's trying to kill you, and you're trying to like escape. It's great. It's super fun. And favorite video game, I haven't played a lot recently, but I really like the Dragon Age series. It's so good. I also really like the Pillars of Eternity series. Super.
There's one video game you recommended way back in one of the early IVM Likes episodes.
It may have been Pillars of Eternity.
No, it was about this character who goes on a search. It doesn't
Journey.
have... Journey, yeah.
That is such a good game. That is the only video game I have played online.
Okay.
Because it doesn't require, it's not necessary, but you can. You can go online and play it with one other person. And the best part is none of you can communicate.
Right.
So they can't
Yeah.
say anything to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like the only way to have fun playing is that if you help each other. So at the end,
Right.
it's like a really beautiful moment where we
Yeah.
all like reach the goal and everybody's just like making happy chirpy sounds. It's the best video game, you guys.
So I haven't played a video game in a long time, but recently I watched the 9-hour playthrough of the Spider-Man game for the PS4.
Yeah,
He's the
yeah.
one that came out
That was-
recently.
Seriously, like
Yeah,
continuous.
not
9
continuously. I broke it in like 4 sessions.
Okay.
But I saw the entire playthrough of the.
I
of the
heard
thing.
it's
a
very good.
very good game. It looks really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't playing it, I really enjoyed watching it.
You can do. You can play it like for
I don't have a
$35.
PS4.
Yeah, you
I'm
can.
not willing to travel to Pune to spend $35 to play it for an hour.
Oh my god. That's awesome.
Do you think Netflix will come out with series where you're actually playing the game and so is the narrative
They
being told?
actually, Bandersnatch was choose your own adventure
Yeah,
thing.
it was like that.
So
But
it is,
Fun
yeah.
gaming.
Fun thing. Google is coming out with something called Stadia, which is pretty much Netflix for games. So you kind of subscribe and get games. I think that's the concept. I'm not 100% sure. I've only read a little bit about it. But it's basically like a subscription service. So you stream the games. You don't download them. They're
Got
just
it.
streaming. So that's the new thing now for games. It's going to be a very interesting couple of years when they set this up.
It's like an arcade in your computer, essentially.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I always
But you have to
wanted-
pay like a monthly thing.
Yeah.
It'll be good for like indie gamers,
Yeah.
I think. But I don't know about the rest. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what it does.
Okay.
Okay, on that note, guys, we'll quickly wrap up the episode. You guys can reach out to us on social media, on different social media platforms. You can reach me out on Instagram at Abhineet Mandal, Madhuri,
At Madad or Madhuri Advani on Twitter.
Abbas.
You can reach out to me at Abbas Momin on Twitter and Abbas Momin88 on Instagram.
And Alika.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CapeFoxAlex. Please send your board gaming questions to me on Twitter and Instagram. And let us know if you're interested in to watch or hear us play board games or video games. Do you want to listen to a podcast about us screaming at each other? It sounds fun to me.
Okay, guys, you can reach out to us at IVM Podcast, and you can listen to pretty much any other shows on IVM Network and on IVM website or anywhere you get your podcast from. Thank you. Bye.
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 माणसं ना गोल गप्प्यासारखी असतात. हाय हॅलो करताना वेगळी आणि बोलताना वेगळी आणि गप्पा मारताना वेगळी, मित्र झाली की वेगळी आणि शत्रू म्हणून वेगळी, थोडक्यात दिसणारी वेगळी आणि असणारी वेगळी, कधी आंबट, कधी गोड, कधी तिखट, तर कधी चमचमीत आणि कधी कधी हॉट अँड स्पायसी सुद्धा. आणि म्हणूनच गप्पा सॉरी गोलगप्पा विथ तृप्ती खामकर फक्त तुमच्यासाठी दर बुधवारी IVM पॉडकास्टच्या ऍपवर, वेबसाईटवर किंवा युट्यूब चॅनलवर सुद्धा ऐकू शकता. तुम्ही आमचा पॉडकास्ट वेगवेगळ्या पॉडकास्ट प्लॅटफॉर्मवरती ऐकू शकता. फक्त सर्च करा गोलगप्पा विथ तृप्ती खामकर आणि आमचा पॉडकास्ट ऐकत रहा.
Hi listeners, we at Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund have come up with a special podcast series called MF 101 in collaboration with Bloomberg Quint. MF 101 is an informative series that will help you understand the recipe behind mutual fund investments. And what's more, it's coming from the chefs of the mutual fund buffet table, from the very own fund managers and analysts who are the manufacturers of the funds that help you realize your investment goals. New episodes out every Monday. You can listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts.